Xbox Game Pass is yet again bringing us some absolutely banging titles, and the service is definitely showing no signs of slowing down into 2026. The latter part of February and the beginning of March do include some huge titles, and you certainly won't want to miss these, so do stay tuned. With that though, my name is Fletcher, and this is Xbox Nation, and let's dive into the 15 brand new Xbox Game Pass games coming our way this February and March. One game that completely caught me off guard with its shadow drop last night was Aerial Knight's DropShot, and honestly, it looks absolutely mental in the best way possible. This is a fast-paced indie FPS where you and several other players are all plummeting through the sky, racing to secure a parachute before it's too late. The catch is that your only weapon is a finger gun, and you've got limited shots, so every move has to count. It becomes this sort of frantic mix of quick thinking, precision, and pure chaos. The visual style is also super clean as well, and it instantly reminds me of Neon White with that same focus on speed and skill. It is such a creative twist on that shooter formula, which is just so oversaturated these days, and I love seeing these smaller devs taking risks like this. It's definitely one to check out if you want something fresh and very different with your Game Pass subscription. Avatar Frontiers of Pandora has finally landed onto Game Pass, and I know a lot of you have been waiting for this one ever since it was announced. This open world action adventure will drop you into the western frontier, playing as a Navi who's been taken and raised by the RDA before eventually escaping and returning to your true home. From there, this game is all about rediscovering your identity, then reconnecting with all the big clans and pushing back against the human forces that are threatening Pandora. One of the biggest and most recent additions though was the new third-person mode, which just absolutely completely changes how the game feels, making exploration even more immersive. I've personally been meaning to dive into this one, especially after watching that newest Avatar film, and now there is no excuse. With Game Pass kicking off the year very strong, it's kind of getting ridiculous to be honest. It is also worth mentioning quickly that Avowed is also now available on Xbox Game Pass Premium tier as of today, and that's alongside the massive update that has rolled out from the team over at Obsidian. This update seems pretty substantial and should rectify many of the issues that plagued the original release just over a year ago now. You're not only just getting the addition of the new Game Plus mode, which is so heavily overdue, but that's alongside many add-ons including the character creator, more weapons and abilities, and so much more. I would be interested to see how much has changed from the original release, so I may have to revisit it myself and sort of do a video on it, but do let me know your thoughts below about Avowed. Now, onto the newer games. Death Howl is finally making its way to Xbox consoles on the 19th of Feb, and this is one I know a lot of people have been waiting for, as it originally launched on PC Game Pass, and it quickly earned a really strong reputation. Obviously, us console players never got a chance to try it until now. At its heart though, Death Howl blends deck building, grid-based tactics, and RPG progression into something that feels really fresh and rewarding. Every card that you discover can basically completely change your entire approach, encouraging experimentation and smart planning. What I love most about this one though, from my time with it so far over on PC, is its more sort of slower and more deliberate pace. It has that sort of Souls-like feel where positioning matters, but is never unfair or overly punishing. It has a very lengthy campaign, loads of different build varieties, and with that Game Pass availability, it's an indie gem that's absolutely worth checking out if you get a chance to do so. It was pretty inevitable that an EA Sports college football game was going to land onto Game Pass, considering we do actually get these updates on a yearly basis. College Football 26 is the latest one, and it will land on the 19th of Feb, and this is the latest installment of the very popular franchise. As many of you know, I'm really not an American football fan, so I'm not really the target audience, and I don't really know what these games entail. What I do know though, after speaking with some of my friends who do play it on a regular basis, this one actually included high school football for the first time, which then brought in a whopping 2,700 new plays, 10,000 players, and over 300 real-world coaches with true-to-life schemes. There was also a broadening of the Road to Glory mode, alongside improved player and manager likenesses. I'm actually really curious to hear if any of you guys and gals are actually diving into this one, and if it's one I need to try out down the line. A return to the Xbox Game Pass library this month is the utter masterpiece known as The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt, and this is also the complete edition, which means you are actually receiving every bit of DLC as part of the package, so that's about 150 hours of content. This series needs no introduction these days, as practically everybody within the gaming sphere is aware of how much of a staggering milestone this was for the open world RPG genre. If you're somehow unaware though, it does follow Geralt of Rivia, the Witcher, on his journey across the windswept lands of Novigrad to the stone halls of Skellige on his search for Ciri before the Wild Hunt track her down. I still don't think there's a game out there to this day which really nails the side quests and just the variety to give you right out the gate with this one. For me, Kingdom Come is probably the closest, but more on that shortly. If you haven't played it though, then check it out on the 19th, and this has also just had its recent Xbox Series X and S patch, which makes the game look utterly glorious on the current gen consoles. TCG Card Shop Simulator is one of 2025's highest rated simulation games, and it's actually got overwhelmingly positive reviews over on Steam, and it's now been added to the Xbox Game Pass lineup for this February. Although it's still actually in early access over on Steam, the game appears to be gearing up for its full release when it finally drops onto Game Pass this month. As you may know though, the game's core mechanics are going to be centered around building and expanding a trading card shop empire. I know simulation games are incredibly popular these days, and this is yet another to add to the expanding list. I know that this is actually one of the most popular ones out there, and it's great seeing it come to Game Pass, and it does finally land on the service on the 24th of February. Before we do dive into the remaining games though, please do hit that subscribe button down below, as 68% of you are currently not subscribed. I do cover news, reviews, performance and comparisons and so much more on Xbox every single day. So if that sounds good to you and you want to keep up to date with all things Xbox, then consider clicking that button down below, as it is free to do so. With that, thanks so much for your support, and let's dive back into the Xbox Game Pass games coming our way for this February and March. Now, one of the standout indie games from the Steam Next Fest that I actually managed to get my hands on was called Dice a Million, and I can absolutely see why people are comparing this one to Balatro. This is a roguelike deck builder, but instead of cards, everything revolves around dice. Your goal is simple in theory: you basically build the perfect set of dice and then push your score all the way to 1,000,000. Along the way, you'll be unlocking powerful rings, special dice with unique effects, and then game-changing upgrades that completely alter your strategy. It quickly becomes about stacking synergies and creating some ridiculous combinations. It kind of reminds me a lot of Clover Pit, which also landed on Game Pass, and I'll tell you what, that was a time sink of a game. The demo also left a really strong impression to me, and the full version looks even deeper, and the best part is it will launch day one on PC Game Pass on the 20th of Feb, so you'll be able to try it out for yourself. I do hope though we do see a console launch down the line, but in the meantime, check out this next beat 'em up coming to our Xbox consoles in the near future. Towerborne is just one of those Xbox Game Studios releases that kind of flew under the radar, but is finally getting its full launch on the 26th of Feb. Originally, it was launched into early access, and the plan was to make it a free-to-play experience, but the developers have now shifted in that direction entirely. Instead, Towerborne will now be a one-time purchase at $25, offering a complete offline playable experience without ongoing monetization. That full release, though, will bring a proper ending to the story, including a final showdown, alongside new bosses, a redesigned world map, and a completely reworked difficulty system. It essentially is the definitive version of the game, and honestly, at its core, it's still very stylish, co-op-friendly, and it's a great action brawler with RPG progression, and honestly, I really do think it deserves a second chance when this 1.0 version finally arrives. You can actually check out my review nearer the time though, so obviously a description is the best way to keep up to date with that one. I think it is pretty much guaranteed now that we're going to be receiving at least one or two Final Fantasy games per month. Don't get me wrong, I'm not complaining, but my word, I really don't know where I'm actually going to find the time to even play them all. Final Fantasy III is finally being added on the 3rd of March, and whilst the graphics and sound design are very much the same high quality arrangements of the original, when you dig a little bit deeper, you will see a bigger improvement across the board with this remaster. For me personally, I do think the story isn't as strong as number 2, but I do actually think it makes up with some improved systems across the board. It has been many years since I've actually had the chance to delve into it, but if you do want to give this one a go, it comes to us very, very soon. The largest addition for this month though just has to be Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, and as someone who absolutely adores this franchise, please drop everything and play this utter gem. To me, this was my game of the year last year, and upon playing it, you will really understand why that's my sentiments. This one continues the story of Henry though, as he's now looking after Hans Capon in the ever-expanded world of Bohemia. KCD 1 was really great and was recently added to Game Pass as well if you checked out my video, but KCD 2 is the definition of a perfect sequel. I very much enjoyed playing both games, but KCD 2 takes the cake for me. It changed everything I didn't like from the first game and just improved on everything else. I love every bit of this game and had an incredible time with it, and I just fully immersed myself throughout the game in my 150 hours or so. The story is a great improvement from the previous one as well, and the amount of content is utterly insane. I mean, I put 150 hours into it and haven't even touched the DLC yet. I cannot recommend this one enough, and it will be available on the 3rd of March for Ultimate, Premium and PC tiers. I genuinely didn't expect that Planet of Lana was going to get a sequel, but I am so glad because the first game was really something special. Planet of Lana 2 will reunite us with Lana and Mui as they now head into completely new territory, and this time exploring what lies beneath Novo. There's clearly a deeper mystery at play here, and it sounds like their bond is going to be tested in so many ways that we haven't seen before. The gameplay still focuses on the clever environmental puzzles, but it's evolving too with more demanding platforming and new movement options like wall jumps and faster traversal. battle. What I love most is the art style still hasn't lost its charm. It still looks absolutely stunning at every single look, and if they really build on the original's emotional storytelling and gameplay, this could really easily be another standout indie release for this March. Do make sure to stay tuned as well and subscribe, as my review for this one will be coming out in the very near future. Replaced is one of those games that instantly grabbed my attention the moment it was revealed, and honestly it still looks just as impressive today, and the previews had me so excited. The pixel art is just on another level with this one, blending incredibly detailed environments with smooth animations that give everything a sort of cinematic feel. It is set in an alternate 1980s dystopia, and the story puts you in the role of an AI that's trapped inside of a human body, and you'll be uncovering the truth behind a corrupt and broken society. With that though, it mixes exploration, platforming, and fast stylish combat in a way that feels very fluid and very reminiscent of the Batman Arkham games. Yes, it has been delayed a few times, but now all signs point to this March, and I cannot wait. With it launching day one onto Xbox Game Pass, this is easily one of my most anticipated indie games on the entire horizon, and we finally get our hands on it on the 12th of March. You may remember me going on about Nova Roma and its PC Game Pass release back in January. Well, unfortunately it was actually delayed at the time, and a new release date is coming up this March on the 26th, and it is yes still coming to Game Pass as well. Apparently, according to feedback, the team has decided to push this one back as they've had to update the game with lots of tuning fixes, and then also recently added stuff like rain, flooding, and also droughts. It is disappointing that we have to wait a bit longer for this one, but hey, at least it means the game should be polished when entering into its early access period. I should hopefully bring you some more updates on this one in the near future alongside my review, so do stay tuned for that one as well. In case you missed it though, we also had Diablo 2 Resurrected land onto Xbox Game Pass on the 11th of February, and this was another huge shadow drop for the service. This all came alongside its first new expansion in over 25 years. If you do remember, Lord of Destruction came out 25 years ago now, and in that respect, Diablo 2 really is a really old game at this point. The new expansion is called Resurrected, has just landed, but unfortunately it's not included within the service, but hey, at least you have the base game available with loads of content, and you can grab that additional expansion if you choose to do so. It's really cool to see, kind of a weird one that many of us weren't expecting, but yes, it's available to play right now. Unfortunately though, with it being a brand new wave of Xbox Game Pass games, we do have some titles which will be leaving the service, and we have a total of 4 of them going on the 28th of February. The games leaving are Monster Train, Expeditions, a Mudrunner game, Injustice 2, and Middle-earth Shadow of War. Make sure to play them or finish them up before they leave, or you can grab them ASAP to keep them in your library forever with that Game Pass discounts. I have seen that a couple of these titles are at some very deep discounts, so do make sure to come back tomorrow for our weekly sales video, and the best way not to miss out on the best Xbox content here on YouTube is with that subscription. Do make sure to like this video as well if you did enjoy it, and check out the video on screen now if you want to check out the massive Xbox update that just occurred over the past week.